Hello, everyone. How are you? I hope all is well. Welcome to our Penn State Brandywine open house. It's good to be with you on this beautiful Saturday morning. It is beautiful where I am, and I'm on campus today, this morning. I needed the energy from our beautiful Brandywine campus. And so I said, let me do this presentation from my office. So as I look out the window, it's a gorgeous day. And I hope wherever you're sitting right now, it is just as beautiful and you're enjoying maybe your morning coffee, a little breakfast as you tie in with us. My name is Jeremy Branch. I'm the Senior Assistant Director of Enrollment Management at Penn State Brandywine. I'm a graduate of Penn State Brandywine as well, with a degree in communications, which I hope proves itself to be a good thing as our time goes on today. I've been a longtime member of our university's Schreyer Honors College program as well. And outside of Penn State, I hold a really interesting role as the president of the Pennsylvania Association for College Admission Counseling. And it is my absolute pleasure to start the program with you today. Just to give you an idea of what you're in store for, we've got a pretty comprehensive day planned for you. We start off with our admissions presentation, and that'll run from about 10 to 10:55. You'll then log back onto the Zoom for our academics, majors, and faculty panel, which is one of my actually favorite parts of our open houses. To be able to hear from the people that you will be in the classroom with is always a great thing. And so I think you're really going to learn a lot from that panel about our programs, but also about how students really enjoy their experience in an academic sense with our faculty on campus. After that, at about 12, we'll be beginning our student panel, which is something that all of you should really be interested in. It's one thing to hear from me, and I've got a pretty good perspective being not only a former student, but also an employee at the university. But it's always nice to hear from students who are currently at the university about what they love about their Penn State Brandywine experience. So that panel will be at 12 o'clock. And then at 1 o'clock, we've got our housing and food services panel. So for those of you interested in living on campus, as we are a residential campus, you can find more information there. And our program wraps up today at 1:30 with our athletics panel as well. So a lot in store for us today. But as I mentioned, it is my pleasure to start things off talking to you a little bit about who we are at the university and giving you a comprehensive view of who we are. It's interesting, that statement, we are, is something that's synonymous with Penn State. And many of you are familiar with that, right? If you have family members, or like whether they be your parents, your siblings, cousins, aunts, and uncles that have attended the university, you are familiar with that "We Are Penn State" slogan. Some of you who have neighbors, right, who've got that obnoxious Penn State flag that flies outside of the house, you're familiar with hearing them say "We Are Penn State" at any opportunity. You see it on our t-shirts and our sweatshirts, and you even hear it shouted out in a non-COVID-19 year in Beaver Stadium when 110,000 of our students and alumni get together and root on our football team. But who are we at Penn State? And why are we so proud of who we are? Well, this slide starts to give you a pretty good indication of who we are. We're a pretty unique university, believe it or not. Did you know that if you chose to attend Penn State University, you'd be attending one of the world's best universities? And that's not hyperbole. Sometimes we say something's the best and it isn't, right? You may have seen a movie once that you thought was the greatest movie you've ever seen in your life. And then you view it a couple months later when it comes on Blu-ray and you're like, it was solid, but it wasn't as good as I thought, right? We trump things up all the time when we're in the moment and we're really excited about it. But after some time goes by, we really realize it wasn't the greatest thing in the world. But when I talk to you about Penn State, and I mentioned we are one of the world's best universities, that is not hyperbole. It's fact. Depending on the poll you look at, our international ranking is anywhere between the top 50 in the world to, at worst, the top 75. But to provide you with a little bit of context, there are over 30,000 different colleges and universities on planet Earth, and we rank at worst in the top 75. So those of you who are good with math, I know some of you students are STEM students, right? You love that. You know that places us in the top 1% of any college or university that you could attend. Are you starting to see where that uniqueness comes into play? It is an amazing feeling when you are a student at Penn State to attend a university like this, because you recognize it. That it took me 2 days at Penn State to realize I chose a really wonderful university. And I had an idea what a good education looked like and felt like from my high school experience, but to feel it at the college level is significant. And to be a parent of a student who is receiving one of the world's best educations, that's an amazing feeling as well. As you parents held your child in your arms in that hospital, if you could have realized that day that your student would wind up attending one of the world's best universities, wouldn't you take that outcome? I'm sure you would. And they are on the cusp of doing exactly that. How amazing is it? We're also unique in that we have a lot of options and opportunities for our students. You see this in our campus system, which we'll talk about in further detail a little bit later. We have not one campus location, but 20 different campuses at the university that differ in terms of size and location, but they offer you the same one thing that we'll mention in a few moments. We're also a place where no matter what you're thinking about studying, you can pursue it at Penn State. We have over 275 majors. Why should that matter to a student like you who may know what you want to study? Or if you're way undecided, why should that be something that stands out to you about our university? We'll speak about that in a few moments. We're also a place that just draws a lot of students. Right now, across our university, when you factor in our undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral students, we have over 96,000 students enrolled at Penn State right now. Think about that. 96,000 students. Every time I talk about this, I get goosebumps, because I'm sure you've recognized in your own life through your own experiences that it is hard to find people who agree on anything nowadays. Hasn't this week been clear evidence of that, right? The election has proved that to us time and time again, but there are other things that happen in our lives where it just seems like people can't agree. But when you look at Penn State, we are comprised of 96,000 people, 96,000 students who don't agree on everything, but they agreed on this one thing, that this university is where they wanted to spend 4 or 5 of the most influential years of their life. And as we go throughout our discussion, you're going to see exactly why that is. What else is interesting about who we are at Penn State? Well, we're going to be a university that provides you with a network unlike any other. Did you know that Penn State has the world's largest alumni association? We have currently on this planet over 700,000 people living and breathing that have a Penn State degree. 1 out of every 120 Americans that is college educated is a Penn State graduate. We are everywhere. But why does that matter to you as a prospective student? Why do I care that a lot of other people attended a university ahead of me? Well, it's because at a certain point of time, you're not going to be with us. See, around your junior year, you start to look for something called an internship. Are you familiar with what that is? Right? It gets you a little work experience before you leave the university. Many of Penn State's majors are actually going to require you to do an internship because our university wants you to have some work experience before you leave the institution. We want you to get a sense of whether or not that career path you've been pursuing is something you actually want to do, and we want to help you bolster your resume. Around my junior year, my advisor, who actually is going to be on the faculty panel later, reminded me that it was time to look for an internship. And I said, oh, that's right. So we start searching together, and I come across one that is perfect. As I read the description, it's everything that I wanted to do. It was in the field of public relations, which I was really leaning towards at the time. When you work in public relations, you're the face or the mouthpiece of your organization, wherever you work. And I got excited about that. So I found this internship that would give me exactly that experience. I scrolled a little further down, and I said, oh my gosh, it's a paid internship too. This is phenomenal. But then there was a problem. There was a deadline for submission for that internship, and I missed the deadline. So in talking to my parents, my father said that, Jeremy, just give them a call. You never know what'll happen. And so I followed his advice. I called the human resources office, and you know what they told me? They said, we're not taking any more applications. It's too late. And so I started to beg them. And I was on the phone with the director of the department. She was a lovely woman, but she was strong-willed. She said, no, we're not taking anymore. And so I started to beg her, and I said, please give me an opportunity. I promise you I would be a good candidate. So after she gets frustrated with me, she says, well, what's your situation? Are you in school right now? And I replied, yes, I'm a junior at Penn State University. All of a sudden, her tone changes. She goes, hold on for a second. Puts me on hold. I'm waiting. She comes back a few minutes later, and she says, hey, okay, so this is what we're going to do. I want you to send me your resume personally. So send it directly to my email address, okay? I was stunned. I said, absolutely. I got it to her right away. But in my mind, I'm thinking, what just happened? A few minutes ago, she wanted nothing to do with my resume. But now she was requesting it personally? Well, you know what she said before we got off the phone? I went to Penn State too. We are. Oh, she's part of that alumni family at the university. Not only did she take my application late, she put me at the front of the line. So I got the first interview for that position, and I earned that internship. At the end of my 3.5 months working there, I had a portfolio about this thick of things I had worked on. A couple of the articles that I wrote were actually printed in the most popular newspaper in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Inquirer. And that led to job opportunities in my senior year. And I had my first job offer in my senior year at Penn State 2 months before I had my diploma. Why? Well, that internship certainly opened up doors for me. There's no doubt about it. But half the people on the hiring committee for the position I had applied for were also Penn State graduates. See, there's a saying in our society that it's not always what you know, but it's who you know. And those parents on the Zoom with me right now know exactly what I'm talking about. But here's the interesting thing about Penn State. We give you the knowledge in the network. Because remember, you've attended one of the world's best universities. So you're going to have the knowledge you need to be successful in the marketplace. But we give you a network unlike any other. With that over 700,000, the more accurate number is actually 726,000 now. With that many people who are part of your family around the world, do you think you're going to have some opportunities when you graduate? Absolutely. That is an amazing thing that we offer at the university. Now let's move on to talk about some of the other unique aspects, and that's namely our campus system. Now, keep in mind, we are not the only university that has a multi-campus system. There are many other universities that do within the Big Ten. University of Indiana has a multi-campus system. And one of my dear friends, his name is Umberto, he's from Texas, and he attended one of the University of Texas's campuses, right? So Penn State's not the only one, but we are the only university that combines and intertwines our campuses like we do. For instance, my friend who went to the University of Texas in one of their campuses, he told me that they all have different colors that represent each campus and different mascots that represent them in athletics. And I found that interesting as an educator, because you know what that also tells me? Their education's different. See, when you don't want to share something as simple as the colors that represent your campus or university, or the little animal or rodent that represents you on the field of play, you don't want to share any commonalities. But when you look at Penn State, you're going to find something interesting. Whether you tour Penn State Brandywine tomorrow and then visit our largest campus, University Park, the next day, you're going to see only two colors that represent the university, blue and white. There's only one mascot that shimmies from building to building. He's right over my shoulder, the Nittany Lion. Guess what else is the same? The education. No matter what Penn State campus you attend, the education is the same. And this is the case because this is part of our university mission. When we were established in the 1800s, we said we want to be affordable and we want to be accessible to every resident of Pennsylvania primarily, but then as it extends to those out-of-state students as well. This is something we really cared about. And so we built our first campus smack dab in the middle of the State University Park. But as the years started to go by, we realized having one campus in the middle of a state as large as Pennsylvania is not being accessible. So we started to build other campuses throughout the state to get closer to more people. Now, where are our differences, though? We have the same education. No matter what Penn State campus you go to, you receive a Penn State education. No matter what Penn State campus you graduate from, your degree says the Pennsylvania State University on it. No campus designation anywhere on it. So where are the differences then? Well, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, size and location. Some of you may be thinking that you're ready to be that small fish in a big pond, right? You love your high school, but it's a little too close-knit. Everybody knows your business. Well, that's where campuses like Penn State University Park come into play. That's the place some of you call main campus, but you'll notice we at Penn State call it University Park because it's just one of our 20 campuses. There you have 46,000 other students, Division I athletics, over 1,200 different clubs and organizations, right? It spans the gamut, a lot of flexibility and versatility at that campus. But many of you have logged on to this Zoom with us today here at Penn State Brandywine because you're looking for a smaller environment. That was the case with me. As I got further and further into my senior year, I started to realize something. I didn't want to go to a large university as much as I thought I did, right? Because a lot of us, we fantasize about that. When we think about college, when we're in middle school or even the beginning of high school, we always kind of envision ourselves on this really big, large college campus because that's what we see on TV. In our favorite movies, if there's a college scene, that's kind of what's depicted there. But as we start to learn more about ourselves, our learning style, our own academic and financial goals, we may start to say, you know, I kind of think I want a smaller environment. And that's where campuses like Penn State Brandywine come into play. This campus is amazing when it comes to one-on-one attention. That's something that makes that transition from high school to college even easier. Is a residential campus as well. So if you still want a small environment, but you want to live on campus, our residence halls are some of the most beautiful ones throughout all of Penn State University. So you have that opportunity. We also, because of the fact that our campuses offer you one education, allow students to mix and match campuses as well. Let's talk about that. It's something we call the 2+2 program. It's where we allow you to spend your first 2 years at a smaller campus like Penn State Brandywine, and then your final 2 years at our largest campus, University Park. A lot of students like the 2+2 program. Why? Well, because as we just mentioned, some of us know that we thrive in smaller environments, right? Some of us like raising our hands to ask questions in the middle of class. The larger the university you attend, the less likely that is to happen. When you're sitting in a class of about 400 students, your professor can't stop class every time you have a question. But when you attend a campus like Penn State Brandywine, where your class size on average is 24, your student to faculty ratio is 15-1, you still get that one-on-one attention, which is something that students really love and appreciate about our campus. One university, right? That 2+2 is also something that allows us to save money. How many of you are looking to make this college thing as affordable as possible? I can't see your hands, but every single one of those hands better be up. And if one of you did not raise your hands, are you open to adopting me and my family? I'd love to come into a household where they are not worried about finances. That would be an amazing thing. As I was navigating my college search journey, this became a bigger and bigger deal. I have an older sibling. Her name is Leslie. And Leslie's interesting. She went to a private school. She's 6 years older than me. So she went to college and graduated from college before I even started my search. And because of her experience going through tuition payments and things like that, she really drilled it into my head that I need to think about cost. And that's a wonderful thing that this campus offers students. Did you know that if you were to commute to Penn State Brandywine for just 2 years, you would save over $30,000 by doing so? That's one of the reasons students like the 2+2. To be able to shave $30,000 off of your college tuition costs is an amazing thing, right? Then you still get up to University Park. You still live a little further away from home. You get the large college experience, but you saved $30,000, right? So that 2+2 adds a lot of flexibility for students. And most of our 275 majors can be done through that way. Let's talk a little bit more about the Brandywine campus specifically now. All right. Our campus is gorgeous. In fact, a number of years ago, we actually received a national award for campus beautification. We beat out Purdue University. Our little campus beat out Purdue University as the best manicured and landscaped campus in the country. We sit on 112 acres in Media, Pennsylvania, which is a beautiful town with a lot of good food. And that's where you can find myself and my friend Claire, who will follow me up on this presentation. We're in Media all the time, right? So a wonderful little town, just 20 miles outside of Philadelphia. So you get the hustle and bustle when you want it, but the quiet and the peacefulness when you need it. Our total enrollment's 1,300 students, so we're not tiny, but we're not overwhelmingly large either. And that makes a lot of leadership opportunities, undergraduate research opportunities, and just meeting other people a lot easier. We're a very diverse campus as well, and we love that about ourselves. We're diverse in terms of high schools represented. Although we're a small regional campus, we're not just comprised of students from high schools very close to our campus, right? And that's a misnomer. I remember thinking that myself. I'm from 15 minutes away from the Brandywine campus, and I thought everybody from my high school, Strathaven, I thought would go to that campus. But we have over 189 different high schools represented on our campus. So diverse that way. We're diverse in terms of number of states represented. We have students from 21 different campuses of different states on our campus, not just New Jersey, Delaware, New York. We have all of that, and we love those students, but we have students that find us from California, from Florida, from Rhode Island, right, from South Carolina. Wonderful diversity, and we also see it in our countries of origin. We are the most diverse campus in the Penn State system with students from 60 different countries. Amazing. We talked about that personal attention you receive in student to faculty ratio. And also, if you want to live on campus, you can absolutely do that. And we've run some interesting data recently about the students who live in our residence halls. Their average GPA for the students who have been there for all 4 years, because we have some seniors in the residence hall who have lived there their entire college career at Penn State, their average GPA is a 3.5. So there is a direct correlation that we are finding with our students who have the residential experience and their academic performance, which is wonderful. Let's continue on talking about some other aspects in terms of our majors. Now, as I mentioned, University Park, our largest campus at Penn State, is not the only place at the university that you can pursue a four-year degree. In fact, all of our campuses offer four-year programs. Now, the total number that they offer will differ from campus to campus, but these are the four-year programs you can pursue from start to finish at Penn State Brandywine. Let's talk about them in a little bit further detail, right? American Studies. What in the world is American Studies and why would you pursue it? Well, it's interesting. A lot of students I talk to nowadays are looking for an interdisciplinary approach to education, meaning they want to be able to take classes across many different fields, not just to be pigeonholed or stuck into one. Well, our American Studies program at Penn State Brandywine gives you exactly that option. What we do is we take the analytical strengths from history, literature, political science, cultural and media studies, and we convert them into one program. So it's a very interesting modern day take on American Studies. Biology is also a popular program for students who love undergraduate research, who love the sciences, but who also may be moving into medical careers. A lot of students make the mistake of thinking, hey, I may want to be a doctor in the future, a pediatrician or orthopedic surgeon. They think they have to major in pre-med. It's not the case. In fact, many of your advisors across university will point you to biology. Many of our personal family doctors were biology undergraduate students. And to be able to pursue this as a 4-year program at Penn State Brandywine is something a lot of our students love. What about business? If there's any major that is synonymous with our university at Penn State, it's business. It rolls off the tongue. We're a top 20 business school across the country, right? When we look at rankings, but we have a lot of different diverse options at Penn State Brandywine in this realm. We have options in accounting, in marketing and management, and a brand new program, which is project and supply chain management. What is that? Did you notice back in March when the pandemic started, we started going into quarantine, that you had a difficult time finding things like toilet paper? Or even if you wanted to do a silly activity with your family and you wanted to get some tie-dye from Amazon, did you notice they were sold out for a very long time? Why? Well, because the pandemic exposed the inefficiencies in many companies and organizations' supply chains, right? Many companies ran out of materials that they need to manufacture their goods and their services. And so this is something that you will solve through project and supply chain management. Penn State is in the top 2 schools in the country in this realm. And this is a 21st century major for 21st century problems. One of the things that company and organizations have been talking about very recently is that they are trying to shore up their supply chain so they are not caught off guard again. And you will be a student that helps them to fix those issues. Communications is my realm at the university, and you'll see we have 2 different programs. Communications Arts and Sciences focuses more on like the traditional approach to communications, interpersonal communication. Why do humans communicate in the way that we do? But the second communications one is interesting. It has a corporate tinge to it, right? It provides you with a background, kind of like a 3-prong approach with traditional communications, public relations, and marketing. I felt like a Swiss Army knife leaving this campus with that program. In fact, my first job was in pharmaceuticals. How, Jeremy? How in the world do you go from being a communications major to working in pharmaceuticals? Well, I worked for a drug development company. And what we did is we worked with different companies like Johnson & Johnson to test out their drugs, right, in the clinical trial and make sure that they were working before they went to the FDA for approval. Now, who worked between my company and the doctors in those clinical trials? Kept those projects on track, made sure that we didn't have any disruptions in the carrying out of these projects and the results. Well, that was my job, right? They needed somebody who had tact, who could efficiently and effectively communicate in all forms, written, verbal, on the phone. And that's the gap that I filled for them, right? So you have so much opportunity to work in a variety of different ways in that program. Cybersecurity, analytics, and operations is another great new major that we have, where students will learn to recognize, analyze, and defend their companies, organizations, and even countries in this space. And as we've seen throughout 2020, there is a great need to protect all of those realms, and students like you will help us solve those problems. English is a popular program at our campus as well. Why would you study English at a college or university? Well, one of the things that English programs really help you to do is to become a better critical thinker, to analyze different points of views, right, and to come to conclusions. That's why you find a lot of journalists who are English majors. A lot of folks who work in government service or criminal justice were English majors. And if there's ever been a time where we've seen we need people who can critically think and to take various points of views and then come to a conclusion. It's now. It's in the modern times. And once again, you can study that through the English program at Penn State Brandywine. We're also unique at our campus that we have a 4-year engineering program right here close to home. It's a multidisciplinary design engineering program that was created after consulting with industry in the greater Philadelphia region. We talked to many of the engineering firms and we said, what are you looking for in your recent graduates coming out of college? What are some things that you need? And they said, we actually want students to have more of a multi-tiered approach. And so our multidisciplinary design engineering program combines electrical, computer, mechanical, and engineering design all in one program to get you ready to be a modern day engineering thinker. We also have human development and family studies, which allows students to take a look at the whole person. It's a great segue into social work and has one of our most robust internship programs. Information sciences and technology involves systems, networking, and software. So if you are interested in any of those realms, you will love that major. What about letters, arts, and sciences? This is almost like a create a major program that is heavily focused in the liberal arts. And one of our faculty members, Patricia Hillen, is going to talk to us more about the liberal arts later on our faculty panel. Finally, we have psychology, and Penn State is in the top 4 schools in the country in this realm. This is actually one of those majors where students will reverse 2+2. We have students who start at University Park and want to finish at Penn State Brandywine because psychology at our campus allows you much more personal attention. You will learn how people relate to others, their environment through their thoughts, their actions, and their emotions. It takes a look at wellness and well-being. And many of your faculty members in this area on our campus have actually worked in the field of psychology and had their own practices. So wonderful 4-year options that you have at this campus. And remember, you have a Penn State degree when you leave. But if any of your majors that you're thinking about are not on that list, please remember you can do the 2+2 program, beginning with our campus and ending at University Park. Now, we'll talk a little bit about another key to being a successful student in college, and that's academic support. If you talk to any of your family members who are college graduates or friends of the family, neighbors, teachers, your school counselor, and you ask them, what does it take to be successful in college? It's not about your IQ. It's not about how many AP or advanced courses you've taken. A lot of it is how do you leverage and utilize the supports and the services that are available to you. Our campus is known widely for the academic support that it provides to students. We feature various workshops, tutoring, peer tutoring, professional tutoring. We have STEM labs for all science, technology, engineering, and math-related courses. A writing studio, if that's maybe your Achilles heel or you're trying to get used to how you have to cite sources correctly in college. We help you with your organization and other study tips, all free of charge. This is built into your tuition. One of my favorite things to do on campus when I have a free moment, which is not that often, is to walk into our Viro library where all of these support services are featured, because that library is packed. Our students take advantage of these resources, and it warms my heart because it translates into the classroom, but it also shows that they recognize what an advantage it is to have the folks on our campus that work with them in this discipline. We also have so much support for those of you who have learning differences or maybe IEPs or special plans from your high school. You have a person at our campus designated specifically to help you in your journey, and that's Anna Backus. She is featured right here on the slide. She is one of our MVPs on campus. She's our student advocacy specialist. And if you have a diagnosis or a learning difference in paperwork, as you're applying to Penn State, make sure you keep in contact with Anna so that we can make sure that we have your support services ready to go day one as you transition onto our campus moving forward. Know that you are cared for and cared about, as my boss, Pammy Coughlin, says all the time, on our campus, and we help you with your educational journey from top to bottom. Now, to talk more about the outside of the classroom opportunities we have, I invite my younger sister, Claire Nolan, to the program to talk to you more about that right now. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. And I don't know about you all, but he just makes me so excited about all of the opportunities at Penn State. My name is Claire Nolan. I am an admissions counselor, and I share this love of Penn State that Jeremy has. I'm a graduate of Penn State myself, actually a two-time graduate. Just this past summer, I got my second degree from Penn State, my master's degree. I also got my undergraduate degree from Penn State in that major that Jeremy discussed, which is called Human Development and Family Studies with a psychology minor. And I had such a wonderful experience at Penn State. So I'm excited for all that it has in store for you. I'm going to take some time now to discuss a little bit more details about the many different activities that you can get involved in at Penn State Brandywine, as well as the actual admissions process. So first, I'd like to take a look at each one of these components of student life at Penn State Brandywine. And so starting with research here, Penn State is a Research One university. And so what that means is that you have a lot of access to be able to do research. Your faculty members are doing research. It's part of what they do. It's part of why they love their content. They're really engaged. They're experts in their field. And so for you as an undergraduate student to be able to engage in that research, that's pretty wild, right? That's a really cool opportunity, not only for your future, putting that on your resume, using that for your kind of a springboard for your future endeavors professionally, but also for that hands-on learning experience. There's nothing quite like being actually a part of your learning. So you can see here, we've got a couple images. Maddie Malfara, she's one of our graduates. She attended Penn State Brandywine, and she really got her hands dirty, if you will, with Penn State research. So she partnered with one of her faculty members, and she participated in research. I'll tell you what she studied. It's hard for me to understand, but they studied nuclear magnetic resonance spectra as a junior in college. So really cool opportunities. We also have research opportunities, not just in the sciences, but in the humanities, in the liberal arts. So we've got a range of research opportunities. I know for myself as a psychology minor, I engaged in psychology research with my faculty members, and that was really interesting. That's the stuff that sticks with you, right? So really cool opportunities there. You can see in this image at our Brandywine campus, we've got students doing poster presentations. It's great practice to communicate how your methods kind of maybe informed your results, what your results were, practicing communicating all that information. So really great research opportunities for students. And then from the student perspective as a learner, it's a great experience being able to listen to your professors who are really engaged in that content. It's not just textbook information from years back, it's current, what's happening in this field right now. So really great opportunities for you at Penn State when it comes to research. We get a lot of questions about internship opportunities, and Jeremy touched on this a little bit, but there are so many great ways that you can kind of start your career as a college student. So career services at Penn State, there's really no career services like them in the country. They are terrific. They have so many different programs to help prepare you for things like actual interviews or applying to jobs. So they really help you every step of the way. A story that I frequently tell is this kind of embarrassing story. I went to an interview session, a mock interview with career services at Penn State, and I get into the interview and I shake hands, and you act like you're just in an interview for a job. And at the end of the interview, the career services rep said, how do you think you did? And I said, I don't know. I think I blocked out. I was so nervous. I might have done well. And the career services rep said, hey, listen, I got to tell you, I don't know how you did either. And I'm thinking, why? What do you mean? They said, I have a tip for you. Don't ever wear a necklace if you're doing an interview. And I thought, okay, let me put that in my notes. I didn't see that when I was researching, how to be successful in an interview. I said, I didn't know that was a thing. They said, it's not a thing. It's just a thing for you. Because in my mock interview, my practice interview, I played with my necklace chain as a nervous habit the entire interview. So the career services counselor said, I couldn't really even focus on what you were saying because that was so distracting. Had I not done that practice interview with career services, that would have been something that I brought into an actual interview. So they really help you to kind of fine tune your interview skills, to kind of craft your resume to communicate exactly what you're wanting to communicate based on the internships and jobs that you're applying for. So they really help you along the way. And our students, you see a picture here of one of our students, Victor. You'll meet him later on today. I believe he's one of our guests for our student tour. And our students are getting internships throughout their entire career. So you may get an internship your junior, senior year. We've got some students who get internships also in their freshman and sophomore years. So the more experience you can get, the better. And Penn State provides those connections for you. I'd also like to take a little bit of time to talk about global programs. So what's interesting about study abroad is that there are so many different study abroad options that can fit your needs. So one of my only regrets from college is that I did not study abroad. I didn't study abroad because I thought we've got a one-size-fits-all option for studying abroad. You study abroad for an entire semester. And for me, that was just daunting. I wasn't quite prepared to go for an entire semester abroad. I wish I had asked some questions, as Jeremy said, looking at the resources that are available to you. I wish I would have asked, because now I know, as someone who works at Penn State, that you can actually engage in research opportunities beyond this semester. You can do week-long, maybe 2-week-long study abroad. You can study for just your fall break or your winter or your spring break. So it doesn't need to just be an entire semester. It can be, but when you've got these different options, you can find a way to make it fit your schedule. Maybe you're an athlete, you don't want to miss your season. Well, we've probably got something for you. So you can see these images are all actually Penn State Brandywine students. We've got students in that picture in Cuba, Barcelona, studying architecture. We've got students in Ireland in one of those images. Students in Puerto Rico did a service trip and replanting trees after the hurricane. So a lot of really great ways to get involved and to see the world, which is one of the best parts of college, is kind of expanding your global view, your world view. Also, kind of synonymous with college is getting involved, doing things that make you excited, that make you feel passionate. And so we definitely have those opportunities for you. There are clubs that range from, maybe light and just kind of for fun clubs, all the way to philanthropic and serious clubs that you can give back to the world in. You can see one of those images is of our Penn State Dance Marathon Club. We call it THON for short. And you might be familiar with THON. THON is actually the world's largest student-run philanthropy. That's a big deal and something that we're very proud of at Penn State. So it raises money every year for children who have pediatric cancer. They raise millions of dollars for these children and their families to support them, as well as for pediatric cancer research. So you can see really a good cause, but also great experiences for students as they're raising funds, as well as a fun experience. It culminates in a 46-hour, no sitting, no sleeping dance marathon. 46 hours. And so that's in our Bryce Jordan Center. We've got Brandywine students who go up every year. These are some of our former Brandywine dancers in the dance marathon. And I will tell you, as a former dancer, I did not think it was going to be quite as challenging as it was. That 46 hours is a very long time to not sit and not sleep, but again, for a really great cause and a lot of fun, great energy that surrounds THON. And THON is only one of the clubs that are available to you. You can do the Red Cross Club, Habitat for Humanity. You can do, like I said, kind of light and fun clubs. So maybe you're doing a gaming club, anything that you can think of. It either already exists at Penn State or you create it. That's kind of the beauty of being a student at Penn State, is that if you find that there's something that you want to exist, you get in touch with our student affairs and you make it happen. And just to kind of do a quick touch on our student affairs office, they are terrific. In this image here is Bridget O'Donnell. She works with our students to help make sure they get their clubs off the ground. She creates all of these really fun and engaging events for students. And she actually, just this past year, was recognized by a national education organization as the Advisor of the Year. So we are really, really proud and glad to have Bridget O'Donnell, but just as an example of how much that you can kind of lean on your resources to make sure that your college experience is exactly what you want it to be. And kind of the cool thing about getting involved when you're in college is not only do you meet people who share the same interests and the same passions as you, but sometimes you kind of open your eyes to things that you hadn't even thought you might be interested in. I know that as an undergraduate student, I wasn't quite sure how to get involved. As soon as I got involved in THON, it became really important to me. And so I hope that you'll have that similar experience as a Penn Stater. We'll go into more details later this afternoon about the athletics at Penn State Brandywine, but also know that we have got a very lively and engaging athletics program at the Brandywine campus. So you can see some of our former victories. Penn State Brandywine boys team actually brought home the national championship for soccer for the USCAA. And I'll tell you, that was one of my most exciting days of working at Penn State Brandywine, because the boys team was coming home on their bus. I believe that the final was in Virginia or somewhere that was a few hours away, and the whole campus was waiting for them to welcome them and cheer them on as they brought home this victory. We had the Nittany Lion out there, fireworks. It was a whole big thing. So really exciting life surrounding our athletics programs too. If you are interested in playing a sport at Penn State Brandywine, these are our varsity level sports. So if you see one on there that you are interested in, definitely be sure to tune in to our athletics session later today. And also, if you have not yet, go on to our Penn State Brandywine athletics page and fill in a prospective athlete form. That's a great way to start the conversation with Maisha, who you'll meet later, who's our athletic recruiter, as well as to the coaches that you might be interested in playing their sports with. We also have some beautiful spaces on campus that are dedicated to our athletics. So you can see our gym on there, our multi-purpose court, which our students love, just kind of playing, a pickup game of basketball or dodgeball, whatever it may be, softball fields. We've got a beautiful, you can see in that image of our Nittany Lion working out, but we've got a beautiful newly renovated fitness center. It's got really nice machines, and that's actually free for students to use. So it's a really nice kind of perk of being a Penn State community member there, is that you have access to a really beautiful fitness center. So I hope that you feel excited about your opportunities at Penn State and at the Brandywine campus. So I'd like to spend a few moments here talking about the specifics of admission. How do you apply? How are you going to make this happen? So for seniors, this is very much happening right now. For juniors, sophomores, and freshman students, you've got a little bit of time, but just something for you to kind of keep on your radar for in the future. There is one application that you use to apply to Penn State. So no matter the campuses that you're involved in or that you're interested in, no matter the majors you're interested in, it is just the one application. You can access this application in a few different ways. You can access it on the Common application, on the Coalition application, or through the My Penn State application, which you can just access right from the Penn State website and click on apply. So that application is the same no matter how you apply. It doesn't matter to us how you apply. However, one thing to note is that if you have not applied yet, because you've come to this session and we thank you for your time today, we'd like to waive your application fee. So if you have not applied yet, you can start your application from the Penn State webpage. Once you've started it, get in touch with us. I'll leave our contact information at the end of this session. Get in touch with us at the Brandywine admissions office and say, hey, I attended your open house day. Can you waive my application fee? We'll go in and remove that fee, and then you can submit it. Unfortunately, we don't have the opportunity to waive common applications or coalition applications, and we don't have the ability to refund an application fee. So if you've already paid it and you've already applied, then kudos to you. You are on top of your game. So we won't be able to kind of retroactively waive it. But if you have not applied yet, that's your process for doing that. But again, however you'd like to apply, that works for us. It all kind of appears to us in the same way. We also, something to note is that we have rolling admissions at Penn State. So we do have an early action date of November 15th, and we recommend applying before that November 15th date. I know that that's coming up, but once you get that online application piece and the other couple pieces I'll note in just a minute here, it actually shouldn't take you too long. So November 15th is still a good date to keep in mind for getting all of your components in to be reviewed for admission. If you can't get it in by November 15th, do not fret. We will continue to review applications as they come in, but we kind of think early bird gets the worm when it comes to both financial aid and admissions. The components of your application, what do you need in order to be reviewed? So one is that online application piece. Again, Common App, Coalition app, or the Penn State website, any of those ways. The other is called the self-reported academic record. So this is a very important piece. Please know that we cannot review you for admission if we don't have your self-reported academic record. What this is really just you copying over your transcripts. Everything that it says on your transcripts, you're going to put into the self-reported academic record. Your GPA, the classes that you've taken. If you're a senior, the current classes that you're taking right now. So we need to have everything from 9th grade to 12th grade. And then this year, we are test optional. For future years, that has not been determined yet, so hang tight. But know that this year, we definitely recognize that it's been particularly challenging for seniors to be able to take the SAT or the ACT. So if you are not able to include them, or if you just choose not to include them, that is totally fine. We can review you this year with just your application and your self-reported academic record. For next year, for juniors and for future applicants, again, stay tuned, but know that Penn State always wants to make sure that we are not adding barriers to you applying. We want you to apply. So if you have any questions along the way, then do not hesitate to get in touch with us. We are very open to having discussions about what it looks like for you individually. So how will you be reviewed? Well, if you choose to include your test scores, either your SAT or your ACT, then we're going to look at your self-reported academic record, so your grades, how you did in high school, the classes that you took, etc. That's going to be about 2/3 of your decision. And then about 1/3 of your decision is going to be based on that SAT or ACT. If you choose not to include your test scores, again, totally up to you. Either way works for us. But if that's the case, we're going to just take a bit of a deeper dive into what your actual courses were and how you performed in, for example, if you're applying into a STEM major, we're going to look a little bit closer at your science and math courses. Same if you're applying to a liberal arts or an English major, going to take a little bit of a deeper look into your English courses. So however it works for you, and again, don't ever hesitate to have those individual conversations with us. I'd like to spend a couple of minutes here talking about financial aid, because this is a really important conversation to have. I think it's a conversation that a lot of folks tend to avoid because it might feel daunting. It might feel like, we're not really sure about specifics yet, but I think it's good to start the conversation in your household. So if you look at the Penn State Brandywine campus for the PA resident and non-resident costs, and you can see that there is a difference between PA residents and non-residents. However, for seniors, if you apply, get everything into us early, get your FAFSA, which I'll talk about in just a second, into us early, you do have a good chance of being reviewed for a scholarship that's called Discover Penn State that will bring you pretty close to that PA in-state tuition rate. So something for you to keep in mind, getting everything early does help you for that scholarship review process. It's not a guarantee, but it's something to keep on your radar. So tuition, you can see for PA residents is about $14,000. For non-PA residents, it's about $23,000. You can see it's the same cost for living on campus, room and board, which means meals. And Jeremy had mentioned earlier in the presentation that you can save an awful lot of money if you are in a commutable distance. If you choose to commute to Penn State Brandywine instead of live on campus, there is a really good savings opportunity there. I also have a note on here to just be aware of other costs that you might incur as a student at Penn State. So this is what you would owe to the university, but of course, books, supplies, transportation, things like that are worth considering as well. However, I am the daughter of a librarian, and I do want to promote Penn State Libraries is exceptional. It's one of the best libraries in the country, and you can access just about any one of your books through the library. As an undergraduate and graduate student, I purchased 2 books my entire time at Penn State because every single other one of them I got through the library. So try to use that as your resource. But again, having that conversation about what the costs are going to look like for you is really important. You can see here our financial aid timeline. The free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA, that is available to seniors now. And we recommend doing that as soon as possible. So it opened on October 1st. We recommend trying to get that done in the next couple of months here, because earlier you get that in and earlier you have that application in, the better shot you have for your scholarship review, okay? So we'll review you for your financial aid package. We'll get you your decision about your offer of admission, and then you're gonna get your financial aid award summary by about mid-February. I recommend not making your admissions decision, so not accepting your offer of admission to a university until you look at your financial aid package. It's really important to know what it's going to mean for you, what's going to be coming out of your pocket, what is it going to look like for loans. And please know that myself, the financial aid team at Brandywine, we are very happy to go over individual financial aid award summaries so that we can kind of show you what it's going to look like for you. But the earlier you complete that FAFSA, the better. And something else that you can do right now for all students, apply to outside scholarships. We're going to automatically review you at Penn State for Penn State scholarships, but there are so many outside scholarships that are available to you. So we've got some examples of sites that you can take a look at. If you follow the Office of Student Aid on either Facebook or Twitter, they offer some really good suggestions for how to look for outside scholarships as well as outside scholarship applications. So as much time as you can put into that, it's going to pay off for you in the long run. So this has been a strange year. to understate it. And so what does Penn State Brandywine look like right now? That's a beautiful picture you'll see in our campus tour later of our residence hall. But what are we doing right now? Well, Penn State has risen to the occasion, okay? So we've got so many different options for students. Students are doing in-person if they chose. They are doing remote if they choose. They are doing a combination of both. Know that whatever was going to work for a student, that is what we offered. So we have both in-person programming and in-person classes, as well as remote programming and remote classes. You can see some examples of the fun things that we do for students, whether they're in person or like our Nittany Lion popping into remote classes during Spirit Week. Still a lot of engagement for our online virtual students as well this semester. And please know we are here along the way. So if any questions pop up, if you want to have a one-on-one virtual visit, if you want to discuss really anything that you're thinking about, bwadmissions@psu.edu. That is our email address. It will come to myself. It will come to Jeremy, one of our other wonderful colleagues. And like I said, if you are interested in applying and you apply from the Penn State website, you can email that email address to get your fee waived. But again, stay in touch with us along the way. We are very, very happy to help. So now I'm going to go ahead and pass it along to Nicola. She's going to give some reminders before our next session. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Claire and Jeremy. Hello, all. I am Nicola DeFranzo-Heitzer, and I am the Director of Enrollment Management here at Penn State Brandywine. Thank you for joining us today. Wow. I'll tell you, every time I hear Jeremy and Claire speak, it's so exciting. I feel like I wish I was a college student all over again. They get me so pumped about Penn State. So thank you guys for sharing great information, as well as your energy and your love for Penn State. That wonderful slide is perfect that they left up, because we are going to be closing out this session, and then we're going to be starting the faculty session. So what you're going to do is we're going to close out, and then you're going to go right back into the same link, and we'll be opening up the room at 11 o'clock for you all. So thank you so much again for attending. And if you have questions, please feel free to email us at bwadmissions@psu.edu, that email that is right there on the screen. Thanks again for coming, and we'll see you in the faculty session.